Oh, I'll take it. I'll take it. Thanks so much. So welcome, Dr. Hansen. We're going to go straight in. And it's funny, did we know today was International
I
Women's
don't think
Day, or
when
it's
we
just a
planned this, we knew.
coincidence? No, we didn't know. And it was a few days ago, was it last week, I realized it. I'm like, what? You know, what a beautiful coincidence. I love your work. I love everything that you do. It's just, it resonates with me on a deep level, because I believe that every woman can be the best that they aspire to be, regardless of what society tells them, regardless. And in a nutshell, that's what you do on your platform, and that's what I do on my platform. So I love it. We're both in our 50s, and we encourage women to be the best that they can be, and not listen to all the lies of society and listen to all of those things. So my first topic for today is related to mental health and how women can find inner peace and contentment. I love that word contentment, because for me, that's what I always strive for. That, you know, I always ask myself, am I content? Am I at peace? You know, in my life at this point, what are the choices I'm making? What are the things I'm doing? Are they bringing me peace? So before we go into that topic, I want you to share with us why you decided to go from practicing psychology the traditional way to helping people in your coaching platform. I'm
Yes, that's a
curious. I
great
want
question.
to
I get
know.
that all the time. You know, I think I was trained as a traditional psychologist. I have my doctorate, and I was really brought up under the foundations and the pillars of a very patriarchal system and a very white supremacist way of thinking in terms of the psychological world. And the longer I was in it, something didn't feel aligned. Something always felt off. At the time, I couldn't pinpoint what it was until I started doing deeper investigation for my personal life and the things that I was going through, using a lot more old, ancient feminine rituals from thousands of years ago, using a lot more chanting and vocalization and movement and dancing, and really bringing back ritual into my life, did I begin to understand that the traditional ways of talk therapy are not necessarily meant for everyone. And they are especially not always helpful. I think there's a plateau point. I'm not saying I'm against it, but there is a point at which we plateau when we are constantly verbally processing and not going into our bodies and alchemizing what it is that we are feeling. So when I saw such huge results and changes in my own life and started using this with a few clients and noticed rapid change for them in terms of releasing old traumas, starting to make connections and new patterns in their lives that they weren't able to get to just through verbally processing, I decided there is something here. There's something old and ancient that lives here. And I've always been an ancient wisdom seeker in regards to listening to my body and sourcing for truth. So I, bit by bit, over the last several years, divested further and further away from that system of traditional talk therapy and use primarily now so much of the old ancient rituals and movement with women, and really taking them on a lot of journeys deep back into a long time past that they've never been able to even access, even back to their ancestors, because that is where so much of what we are carrying, and even in the way that we believe. You know, you were talking about, we don't have to believe all the lies. I agree with that, but it stops there if we don't understand how to divest from the lies that pump in our veins, in our cells, that our great grandmothers were carrying with them. And so how do we stop believing the lies? Like, what are the actionable steps to take to divest from them, to live your most incredible life ever? So that's where I really focus in on my work, and helping women actualize, heal from the past, and then actualize the most audacious version of themselves beyond their wildest dreams.
That's wonderful. And what kind of results are you seeing?
Beyond.
Are you seeing really
I mean,
good
I'm
results?
releasing a new program this evening, but after a webinar that I am hosting, and more than half, like 75% of my current clients have already signed up for it. They're the only ones that know about it, for the next 6-month journey, because all of them end up quitting traditional therapy. A lot of them end up getting off of medications. A lot of them stop drinking. A lot of them stop scrolling, watching Netflix. releasing resentments, because they're finally living from a place of understanding, truly understanding and unearthing the roots of who they are, why they operate and feel the way that they do. My work is not a Band-Aid fix. It is old, it is ancient, it is a journey. It's unlike anything that majority of my clients have ever done before. And so my retention rates are very high. Women come and they stay.
I can imagine. So as you were talking, a word popped up into my brain, purpose. So how does the work you do revolve around women finding their purpose? I don't know why that word just
well,
popped
I
into
think
my
that we
brain
are
and I
all
wrote it
made
down.
for purpose. I firmly believe every human was brought into this earth with divine, beautiful gifts that were theirs. Somewhere along the way, they heard messaging between probably the ages of like 7 to 10 years old that they were too much, not enough, that they would never, they needed to align to something that a culture or family or religion wanted from them. And so as women in particular, I take women back and ask them, when is the day or the time or the memory where you stop believing in your abilities and yourself? The average woman, it was before she was 12. And so it's really about going back to her. Who was she? What did she dream of? Why did she decide that she couldn't have it? And how do we rebuild from the woman you are now and source from that part of you that innately knew what you wanted to do, who you wanted to be, how you wanted to shine in this life? So it's a beautiful, very holy practice I take them through to identify the purpose they were most meant for on this earth.
What can, and I know this is related to, but I love to ask questions because I'm loving all the answers you're giving now. What kind of ages of women do you work with? What's the most common? Give us the most common age
I
range
have
of
women
women that come
as
to
young
you
as
for help.
24 all the way to 75.
Wow.
Because we are on a
Isn't that
constant
amazing?
evolution for life. The 25-year-olds are telling me that they are so thankful they're learning this now because they're going to be set up for such a better midlife experience. And they're divesting from the betraying of self like so many women do now. They're teaching their mothers. Some of them have had their mothers get onto calls with me. Some of them have had their partners get onto some of the one-on-one calls with me, because I do a lot of the work is primarily group work, but they get some one-on-one with me as well. Because it's just people's minds are blown at how these women are showing up differently in their lives, in their relationships. They're going back and healing, really difficult relationships that felt unrepairable with parents and lovers. And yeah, it's just, and then the women who are in their 70s are reimagining what the next part of their life gets to look like. Because in my energy and in my world, there is this belief that we are all living to a minimum of 120, and we are meant for great beauty and pleasure and bounty and purpose. And every human life is worthy of abundance. And there's no time at which we check the box and say, well, I guess I'm going to hang up the hat now. No, we get to ask for the life and curate the life of our dreams forever and ever, all the way to the very end. And I want people to live the life that they want to tell when they're taking their final breaths.
Amen. Amen. Amen to that. Every time I talk with my mouth and I tell people the power of what we say, I say it all the time. I'm like, when I go back to God, when I'm 105 years old, I don't know where that number came from. Amanda, don't ask me. Dr. Hansen, don't ask me. But for some reason, I have 105 in my brain. Maybe I'm trying to copy my grandmother because she passed away at 102. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to surpass my grandmother. My mom passed away at 86. So I'm like, I'm going to do 105. But I believe that what you believe in your mind is what you manifest. Absolutely. Yeah, it's what you manifest. Thank you so much for all the wonderful work you're doing. So now there's a question already, but I want us to get into the topic of the day first. So what are your top tips for women to be able to find that inner peace and contentment
outside
in life?
Of yourself is the number one tip. What you desire
Stop thinking outside
what
of
you
yourself.
Desire does not live outside of you. It's not going to come from a relationship, a handbag, a piece of jewelry, the next diet fad, the next show on Netflix. What you need is already inside of you. Source from within. Go inside. That's what this work does. It takes them. We stop distracting ourselves from the external noise and we go back to the fountain of the truth, that internal temple and navigation system, because there are so many cheap distractions in this world. And this work is about learning to stop being the woman who's constantly in seeking energy, and rather she's in being energy.
I love it. But it's easier said than done. But for women who don't know how to get there, they can come to you so that you help them do the work, right? Because that's easier said than done. And that's a journey. I can't say that I was there when I was 22. I can't say that I was there when I was 28. Now I'm there. I'm there. I know how to go within and find that happiness from within. But it's a journey. But even some people in their 50s
a lot of people
still
are
don't
very
know
unconscious to
how
it.
to do that.
You know, and a lot of my clients say to me in the beginning, oh, wow,
Yes.
I'm having, initially when you start working with me, there's this real big excitement, this huge rush. Everyone's operating on adrenaline in the first few weeks. And then there's kind of a crashing period. And I normalized that for everyone because I said, absolutely, because you've been living your entire life under this belief system that everything you needed to come from outside in. And so it's very hard for people to calibrate to this new operating system, because when you look up and out, the entire world is operating differently, and you're trying to upload a new programming system within yourself. And so it is a journey. It takes time, and there are contractions along the way as you are becoming more conscious to this way of living. This work that I do is deeply intentional, and it is a journey. I've been at this for decades in my own life, and I'm still at it because we have a system that is saying a complete counter message to women in particular. At least the average of 4,000 times a day, women are inundated with messaging that will tell them of their lack of worth until they buy this product, do this thing, lose this weight, fix their whatever.
So true. So what's the second one? Your second top tip for inner peace and contentment?
The very first thing you need to do is get yourself in front of a mirror every single morning. Before you turn your phone on, before you interact with people in the world, put yourself in front of a mirror and recognize and be in the presence of the miracle in the mirror. The average woman looks in the mirror to criticize, critique, pick apart. And what I encourage women to do is you start that day. And mine is very simple. Mine is just a couple of moments in the mirror. I walk to the mirror, still somewhat slumbering out of my sleep. I ground myself. I stand there in front of my mirror. I take a couple of deep breaths, one hand on my heart, one hand on my womb space. I hold very intentional eye contact with myself, and I say, good morning, beautiful. I love you. You are a damn miracle. And I can continue to hold my eye contact. And that sounds so simple. But when you walk with that fulfillment inside and that level of energy inside, you don't seek the validation from the outside world. You've already given it to yourself. So there's no toxic beauty ad that can come and swindle my self-love. There's no person who can come in and make me think that I'm going to somehow, by being in relation or business relation or any way with them, that I'm going to feel better about myself. I source from within every day. It is my job to fill that cup. It is nobody else's. And so I recommend that be a beginning place. Do that for 90 days and then see how you feel.
What if there's a woman who just doesn't feel, there's some women who can't even look at themselves, because as soon as they start to look, they're critical. My nose is too wide. My this is too that. How do they begin? If there's a woman on here now who's watching the replay and who's thinking it's easy for Dr. Hansen and Dr. IYABO to say that because they are beautiful women. Again, beauty is from within, but people always tell me that. They're like, oh, Dr. IYABO, it's because of, you're this, you're so beautiful. That's why I'm like, who defines beautiful?
And that's a trap. When women say that, I always call them in on that one, because When we start saying that, that in and of itself is internalized misogyny. As soon as we start dictating what is considered beauty or not, we are playing part of the game. And I refuse to do that. Every woman is beautiful. And I don't say that just as a blanket statement. I really and truly, with all of my heart, believe in the exquisiteness and holiness of every human life. And so when you feel that abundance within, you see it everywhere in the world. So I would say you're not looking in the mirror as a critique. You're not looking at your nose or your cheekbones or your lips or your hair. That's why I say you ground your feet. And when you're ready, after 3 deep cleansing breaths with a hand on the heart, a hand on the womb to bring you back into complete connection, you make eye contact, intentional eye contact with yourself. When you know how to hold your own eye contact, when you know how to hold the presence of yourself and witness yourself, that is power that is unexplainable. And that is no longer critiquing the nose, the structure of the face. It is recognizing the holiness in those eyes.
I love it. Again, as you were talking about the ritual of looking in the mirror, grounding yourself, the phrase slow down came to mind. There are many women who don't even, or say they don't have the time to do this because they wake up in the morning, there's 4 kids. After the attention, dad has headed out the door. They want to work out, they want to go to work, they have this, so they don't even have time. So how do those women do this practice if they have so much going on and they're already going crazy in the morning? If you don't have 90
seconds to 2 minutes in the morning to do this, then you really have to, you're in a crisis of reprioritizing. And it, you know what? It's an excuse. You don't want to do it. There's not a woman on this earth. I too have raised 4 children, a traveling husband across the globe, our entire marriage, working, running a crazy lifestyle. There's no woman that doesn't have 90 seconds every morning. That's all it takes.
It's all about priorities. What's important to you? Yes. There are 2 questions already. The first one is related to this, so I'll ask that now. The lady says, how do you juggle responsibilities when your partner is too busy and you have to take care of the kids and all of those? How do you juggle all of that so you can have peace?
Well, there could be, I think first and foremost, there needs to be a conversation with the partner that says, this is not feeling reciprocal. I feel like there is more of me giving, and I don't feel like we are doing this as a partnership. So it's squeaky clean communication is what I'm a firm believer of. We can't expect someone to help meet a need if we never verbalize it. And so we don't beat around the bush. We don't show up in resentment or passive aggressive ways. We say what we need. We say what we mean. We ask for what we want in a way that is clear and concise. And yes, you can hold yourself through the vulnerability, but something that says, you know, I really want this relationship, this family life to be happy and sustainable for you, for me, and for us. But to get there, I think there's some things we need to address. There's some ways in which we could look at how I can maybe feel a little bit more of some breathing space, because I love this family and I love being of service to everyone. But I'm noticing that I'm growing in my resentment because I barely have time to come up for air. And that doesn't feel good to me. How can you help me source through that? I have some ideas. Let me share them with you. What ideas do you have on how we can do that? Because I want this family to be loving and sustainable. But if we continue on this path, I worry we won't make it. That's how you say it.
I love that, but let me ask you this question. It's a very practical, real question. Do we still have time? Yes. So what if the man says, and honestly, it does happen this way, where he has to work a lot because he has to support his wife who's not working. He has to support his 4 kids. What if he answers with, well, who's going to pay the bills? Who's going to work? Does that bring us to starting to think again? Every woman makes their decisions. What we're discussing here is do what makes you happy. But in my coaching, you know, I coach about money, I coach about relationships. I talk to women, I'm like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You have to be realistic. Men get tired as well, okay? So, you know, if you want him to help around the house, perhaps maybe you should try to get something and get some kind of job or get something so that you can both be working and you can both also have free time with the kids. Because, you know, asking a man who's working to be able to pay the bills and support his family of 6 to help you around the house and all of that.
Yeah, it's a
You get
partnership.
what
You know,
I'm
it's a
talking
divide
about.
and
As
conquer. It's a
women,
partnership. There are seasons
yeah,
to all of these things. I've done it all.
yeah,
We raised 4 kids.
yeah,
I know there are times there really are imbalance, but what I'm talking about is
yeah.
everything can be sourced for, everything can be reprioritized for. It's really about speaking to be heard, speaking to be respected, speaking to be seen as a partner and not someone who should just be in gratitude all the time and deal with what is. But how do we, these are higher level conversations. Like the work I do with my clients, it's yes, there's practicality to it, but I'm like, you can say anything and be heard and respected. It's your delivery, and it's the way in which you bring your heart into the conversation. When I center my heart in any conversation, whether it is business, personal, I am able to be heard, met, and respected, because I don't shy away because of vulnerability or ego. I step in with my heart, and in that space, magic happens. If the person really loves you, they're going to want to find a way to source for the reciprocity for both people.
I love that last statement. If the person really loves you, they'll want to find a way. That is key. That is key. The next question is, as a 44-year-old woman starting her education in psychology, what should I focus on?
That's a very broad question. I would focus on incorporating lots of feminine movement, because traditional forms of psychotherapy are only going to yield a certain level of result. So it's I don't want to say it's a dying breed or a dying industry. It not necessarily. It's time to get more creative. When you think about how much evolution has happened in this world when it comes to technology and AI and all that is happening with transportation and all of the medicine and everything in the world, we as humans are lacking in our development. It's time for us to really step out of old models that no longer serve us and really think about up-leveling the way we think about our levels of consciousness in this lifetime and the way we move our bodies. It's really important for women. The answers, 99% of the answers you need are between your hips.
Explain
I don't know
that
how
a
much
bit
I can
more.
say
What
on
do you
this
mean
podcast
by that?
or on this IG. My work is very sensual. My work is very much about working with the root chakra, and there is so much wisdom that lives in between a woman's hips. There is so much that can be sourced from that space, and it is sacred, and we have cut women off from that connection to that wisdom because we have deemed it something that men own, that religion has shamed women for, and in doing so, women have been cut off so deeply from their root chakra, from their real source, that it is hard for them to even know what it is they want in this life because they're not tapped in. So I help women go back to the original well of wisdom, which is in their womb space. Whether or not they've had a hysterectomy or children is irrelevant. It's just that space in your body where all of the answers to all of your life are living.
Got it. So the ways to find peace and contentment are sourced from within, right? And do the mirror work. Anything else? Any other tips you have for us on how women can find peace? Because I feel like there's many women these days who just cannot find peace. They come to my DM every day, and I can tell that there's peace is lacking. So what else can women do to find peace and
beautiful
contentment?
Network of like-minded sisterhood. Go back to ancient ways of gathering around fires, around family rooms, sitting on floors and talking and sharing wisdom. Get off of your phone, stop scrolling, stop buying endless things that promise to make you feel something. We need each other so much as women. We need to stop this level of competition. Again, a patriarchal tactic to keep us against one another and believing in hierarchy, and rather it's this belief that we all need one another. My tattoo says Ubuntu, which means I am because you are. We need community. That is where, as Audre Lorde says, that is where our liberation lives. It is in community with one another.
How do women know what positive community is? Because there are toxic people out there.
When you close your eyes
and
breathe deep after an interaction and you ask in between your womb space, you feel for the answer. Do I feel seen and supported and celebrated and inspired when I am with these women? If the answer is no, you have not found your women. Keep going.
Okay, I like that, because your inside, your inner spirit will tell you. Yeah, it will for sure. Anything else before we round up? Any other tips you have for us for peace and contentment?
Dance every single day. Dance for yourself, not for
Ah,
performance,
I
not
love
for
it.
anyone to watch, not for critique. Dance and just be in that energy. See what comes up of your body.
I love that one, because I do that a lot. And my husband looks at me like, is everything okay? I'm like, I'm just dancing. I'm just, yeah, I love it. Anything else? We have 2 or 3 more minutes. Anything else? And you can ask your last questions now, because we're about to round up. Actually, there's one more question. But if you have any other tips, Dr. Hansen, please tell us while I read this question.
I'll wait for the question.
Okay. So she says, what is the best way to make young women and girls aware that beauty is from inside out? My daughter and her friends are increasingly obsessed with beauty standards.
And model it. The biggest thing is talking to them about it. Obviously, talking to them about it is important, but the biggest thing, the most important thing, and what my 20-year-old daughter has told me is, Mom, if you'd only talked about it, I wouldn't have understood what it looked like, what it felt like. So she's grown up watching me source from within. So it's less of me having to tell her, do steps 1, 2, 3. She's watched me do it myself. It's a language. It's a way of being in the world that she has witnessed. And so the best thing that mothers, women, aunts, neighbors, older sisters can do is be the model. So be the woman who doesn't fall for toxic beauty culture. Understand, have conversations with young women that toxic beauty culture has been set up. It makes its billions by making you feel less than. So if it can convince you you're not good enough until you buy this product, you will be a consumer and in jail forever. And so my daughter is so wise to this. She understands. She looks at the marketing campaigns, and her and I talk about it, and she's like, how insulting, Mom, that they are trying to tell women this. How disgusting. And so I think a little bit of anger helps also, because it's sometimes that anger that helps you dig in and say, no, you won't trap me. I will not fall for this. There's a more beautiful narrative. And I know that it is. Aging is such a privilege and such an honor. And the uniqueness of every face is it's art. Human beings are art.
Yes. So true. Last question. How can a woman be independent?
Her own money. You have to make your own money if you want true independence. That's just the reality. I see the difference between my clients who have their own businesses, make their own money, and women who don't. And the others end up settling for breadcrumb relationships because they feel trapped. They stay in places that they shouldn't be because they're dependent on that financial dollar. Get yourself your own job, your own money, and watch what gets to happen, the power that you get to source. It's such a beautiful energy. And I'm not talking about power over others. I'm just talking about power as women.
I just love you, Dr. Hansen. You cannot imagine how much I love the work that you do. Women all need to come to you, honestly. So how can women come and work with you? Because we're rounding up now. Thank you for these wonderful nuggets. How can women come and work with you?
Thank you so very much for having me. I love having these beautiful conversations. My platform is Midlife Muse on TikTok and on Instagram. That's the best way to find me. My website is amandahansen.com. And I'm announcing this evening the next and possibly final program, because my business is taking such a huge turn that I'm not sure how much more I'll be available to the public and access to the public. But this is a program that will be announced this evening that I'm so excited about.
Wonderful. Keep doing the work. We need you. We need more women. We need more women leaders. We need more women voices. We cannot do this on our own. There's 8 billion people in the world. I don't know what percentage are women, probably a high percentage. And we need more women voices. So come out of wherever you're hiding and come and help women, because we need you. Dr. Hansen, thank you very much.
It's such a joy.
Love
you as well.
Lovely to meet you. And I hope we'll do this again sometime soon. All the best. And thank you to everybody who's joined. Thank you to the people who bought badges. Thank you. Money is always appreciated. Thank you so much. Love you all. Bye. And you know